Hey, thanks for joining in on the stream. I'm running a little late because PHP Storm decided to uh, crash out on me a little bit, but I'm gonna hopefully it wakes up and I'll get started. So today I'm gonna work on Retrofit, which is a project I released on Monday. And Retrofit for Drupal provides a compatibility layer to run legacy Drupal code. The main target is Drupal 7 code on Drupal 10. So you can find it at this Git repo. And oh, PHP Storm, why are you doing this to me today? And I do have a video on my YouTube channel that you can check out to watch it in action. What is going on here? So I was running late to my computer. Wasn't able to get things totally set up, but I'm gonna at least make sure everything's up to date locally while I wait for PHP Storm to wake up. Like I ended up deleting the local code base and re-adding it, hoping that would fix it, but it is still just hanging and I don't know why. I'm gonna force quit and see if I can get it back up. But my goal is to work on adding more backward compatibility layers on this call. So right now it supports a few APIs like hook menu, menu links, field formatters are discovered. Mostly work and blocks. All right, I'm gonna open it up. Let's do PHP Storm. All right, now it should be happy, I hope. So one thing I do want to go through, and I can just open on GitHub right now while I wait for this to launch, is improving the menu discovery. So right now it decorates the entire menu manager and has to perform after definitions are found. And I'd like to see if we could solidify this as a deriver. And that's how it works for blocks and field formatter. So field formatter defines itself with a deriver. And then that deriver executes the legacy hook from Drupal 7 and then provides the new definitions. And so inside the field formatter, all it does is it calls the legacy function with the new values that come in. So it's not going to be like a complete one-to-one match. You're going to have to update some code, but the idea is you don't have to rewrite all of your hooks into new plugins. Just maybe you're modifying some of the lines of code inside of those hooks, which should hopefully make life a lot easier for folks who are upgrading to Drupal 10. All right, this is indexing. Yeah, so that's how it works. So in Drupal 7, it's like hook field formatter info, and then you call hook field formatter view. So this just loads that callable. And the same goes for the block driver. Inside the block driver, we just set up the admin label provider and the original block info. So that way in the block, make it a little bit bigger, it can call the block view and return the content. And it also works for the form and saving the form as well. And it also maps some of the old caching constants as well. All right, so now this is indexing Drupal. We should be all good to go. So to get started, like I said, I want to see if we can improve the menu link, the menu definition discovery. And I don't want to have that many decorated services. So, or I don't want to have, if I do service decoration, I like to not extend the class. I just want it to implement that class. And I think there's an example here in hook permissions. So this ports hook permission to Drupal 10. So I'm able to just implement the handler interface and that gets injected as the inner class. And then I'm able to call this get permissions from the inner and then layer these on top. Permissions, I actually looked into this. Permissions have a more simple discovery method. It parses all the YAML files, but there's not as much caching involved. At least from, or there's just caching of the definitions or some of the files, but there's a lot of processing that still happens. So this actually works okay. But I would like the menu link manager to look more like this, where it actually passes the original service inside and delegates calls to it instead of just extending it. So if I can get this to bring me to the parent, it's not going to work. So let's go find it ourselves. So it's in vendor Drupal core, right? Drupal core menu link manager. So menu, and then menu link manager. We don't want the interface. So menu link manager has these defaults that it applies to the plugins. That's also an issue here. Is this isn't having all the defaults applied. Because we have to call process definition afterwards. So I really would like the discovery to find the definitions and just work, and there's going to be less bugs. Well, there could be tons of bugs, but there'd be less if this worked in a more natural way. So we can see here that there is a container derivative discovery decorator, multiple of words, and how it seems to work. So there's the YAML discovery, and this decorates the YAML discovery, but supports a container derivative. So I need to see what's going on in here. And since it's still indexing, I can't pull it up. So let's go try to find it. So core plugin discovery, plugin discovery, container derivative, discovery decorator. So this driver based get driver class is subclass of base plugin. Oh, base plugin ID. This driver is false. This get driver class from the base definition. That's odd because menu links are YAML based discovery. So I guess you could then in YAML say driver and it would apply to that. So let's go to the, where does derivative come from? Component. So let's look at component, plugin, discovery, derivative, discovery decorator. This is slowly. So drivers get definition. Let's look at get driver class. Base definition, get driver. Nope. So yeah, okay. So we'd read it from the annotation, which we don't have an easy way to inject. So my other idea was to create a new driver, or not a new driver, but a new discovery. Okay, good. It was set to 8.1. Let's make sure. So I'm just getting the project reset up. All right. Hey, thanks for joining in. All right, now this mess should be finally cleaned up a bit. Let's get to what's still indexing. I don't want to move any files. So let's look back at that driver. So there is the info hook decorator. What's this? Wait, this actually exists? Awesome, I don't have to write it. Oh, good. So I didn't think this actually existed. but it does. But the problem is the existing hook definitions won't match. So we still need some kind of processing, which means we need a derivative. Info hook decorator, yeah, discovery interface, discovery trait. So we want YAML discovery decorator. So I want to see where this is used. Because I think this is used in reference to when you can do annotated discovery or YAML based discovery at the same time. Well, that's not helpful. It says it can't be found anywhere. So let's just do a regular search. So Layout Plugin Manager uses it. So discovery, so annotated class discovery. Directories, this get module theme. Okay, so annotation bridge discovery. There's a discovery plugin annotation name. What is this for? Ensures all plugins run through the annotation process. Okay. So I don't think we can easily hook in and create a derivative or deriver for this because we would need it to be in the definition itself. So if we go to get definitions, it's going to say this get discovery, get definitions. And we want the discovery to return all the definitions for us so that way we don't have to hack into it. So this get discovery. We'll have to override this. I wish there was a better way. View container. This get deriver, base definition, base plugin ID. You know what? Real quick, I'm going to just debug this. I need to make sure that PHP unit is set up. Cool, it is. So there is full test coverage on this project. So let's go to integration, menu link manager test. That thinks it's a container when it's not. All right, I'm gonna do put a breakpoint there, and I'm gonna debug this test and see where we end up. Because there's gonna be various other plugin definitions that need to go through this process. Gotta turn on debugger or listen for the debugging calls. So I know right now, how did this work? Plugin, no, so field, we have, so base, plugin ID, yeah, so this is all reading from the YAML, and we can't easily read in the YAML because it is calling this get module directories, and we're not in a module directory. So let's try. Let's just go ahead and, oops, let's get back to copying this info hook decorator. It's not what I exactly want, but it would make it easier to abstract if there's some way that we could eventually move it away, because right now all this logic lives inside get definitions, and that's what I want to move outside of it. So let's go create a discovery directory. And the idea will be to move to provide one definition that specifies the deriver and then a derivative for it. So we're going to decorate the menu link manager to provide the new discovery method, which provides one base decorator or one base what do you want to call it? One base definition that will be picked up by the driver. So let's call this discovery. Let's call it what's a good name? Let's see. We want to make it so that there can be a driver and a YAML plugin without defining it. Second. All right. So discovery, we want to call it the info hook driver discovery .php. Let's go ahead and declare strict types. Retrofit, Drupal, plugin, discovery. Let's see, I want to look back at these decorated ones, so it's just pretty simple. Actually, let's swing it over this way. Final class, info hook. It's going to copy. Copilot wanted to just copy everything from the info hook decorator. We'll start with that. And we're going to convert this to be a promoted property constructor because we don't need this. Or actually, yeah. So we'll do private read only. I don't know why this would be. Oh, this is a shorthand for all the. Okay, so we need the discovery method. Then we need to have the private read only base ID, and then private read only deriver. So the idea would be, I guess it doesn't make sense to delegate it to deriver in this sense. We're just gonna have it go. We'll have it in here. No, I want to have it. I want to have it delegated to driver because otherwise we'll need different discovery methods. So the idea would be this ensures that the info hook registers a base definition, and then that can go to a driver which contains all the logic, and all the logic isn't inside of the discovery method like here, like it is an info decorator. So we'll call this driver. Why is this throwing an issue? Private read only. Oh, string. I want to annotate this to be, say, class string. So definitions. And then we should do definitions. This ID equals ID is this base ID. I'm going to change this to be camel case. Then we can say the Add all the stubs, which there, the call, I just like to be more explicit. So we can say that return this decorated, get definition. Thank you, Copilot. There. Info hook decorator. So let's, yeah, info hook driver discovery. So if we have the menu link manager, then if we override the get discovery, say discovery equals, then return new info hook driver discovery. Discovery, we'll call it hook, call it menu link. So all the base plugin IDs will have hook menu. And then if we go into derivative, let's call this the menu link driver.php. Namespace, that's not discovery, but it is derivative, final class, menu link driver, implements, that's it. Extends driver base, implements the driver directory. Create, we need to copy, we need to set the hook menu registry. So there's, since in Drupal 7, the link plug, like links, routes, local tasks, all that were powered by hook menu. So I abstracted that away into a registry, so that way we don't invoke that same hook hundreds of times. So let's do, we gotta create our constructor. Has a private read only, then create. Oh, so right here. And where did I register that? Registered. Return new self. Now this might break because I have it set as public false and I'll have to change that. But I'll find out. And was it like get derivative definitions? Oh, yeah, container get. All right, so I'm just going to start with the fact we're here. Copy that reference. So we're decorating discovery. We've got our base hook ID. We've got the driver. And actually we can do this. Say let's copy code here. That's the discovery. Where's the driver at? Here we go. So routes, definition. I'm going to say this derivatives is menu link definition, right? Yep. All right. So this is a, yep, that's already being done. All right, so let's rerun that test and see if this all worked out or crashes fabulously. So I'm going to do the debugger. Should have put a breakpoint there. Not in here. All right. So get driver, yada, yada, yada. So let's put one to there to see if it pops up. And it didn't. Or rather, let's delete this code. So I need to make sure this discovery works, that this driver gets invoked. Why is this complaining? 1 second. I got to. Looks like it didn't turn on the Symfony plugin, which means I gotta wait for some indexing to happen probably. So we've got a driver, our manager, and info hook driver discovery. I'm going to put a breakpoint here also and rerun the test. And I know this abstracts it out a lot, but the idea is to make the service declaration of menu link manager as minimal as possible to using derivatives, because that's how in Drupal you're meant to create different derivatives of a plugin. It says, here's my one plugin instance, but I'm going to tweak it along the way. And that's the idea that I want to follow between YAML and annotated plugins. Right. So now we have definitions. There's all these ones: hook menu, ID, deriver, step over. Oh no. So this isn't working. I'm going to have to copy more than I wanted to. So I actually have to copy this code. Maybe this won't be the best idea, because we have to. The problem is that the container derivative was running beforehand. Discovery, YAML discovery, info hook. And we can't get Drupal to easily find a YAML file in this extension because it is a, what do you want to call it? It's a composer package. It's not something you install inside Drupal. Like, you just add it and it runs. So I need to actually fix the decorator here to remove this method call. And let's rerun the test with Xdebug. All right, so definitions, everything's unprocessed here. If we step over, now it will go through and get to derivatives. So let's put a breakpoint there. So we get driver, and it failed. Service has been inlined. Okay, so I need to make, I'm going to close this up really quick. I have to make this be public, which by default is what Drupal does. So when a service is private, that means it's just injected via the service container. But since derivers have the container passed to them and aren't constructed by the service container itself, it has to be a public service. Question. So what is the plan for modules that provide TPL templates? So Drupal 7 used the PHP template system. My plan is to support it. It should be completely possible. So inside Drupal core, I don't know if there's I don't know how well the support actually works. But if we would go into Drupal core, oh shoot, and add just okay. So add just hit, and I will wait to answer that when they okay, add's done. So inside Drupal core, there are technically, it is a way to the access check registry template. Where are we going here? Template, twig environment. There should be a way to still, unless it was removed. 1 second. No, I'm looking for something. I can't think and talk at the same time. There were still a way to have theme. Okay, theme engine extension list. There we go. So Drupal 10 still supports custom theme extensions. Theme engines, I should say. So I would imagine that we can just add back PHP template support and just call those, or that's something that does have to get migrated to Twig. I'm not sure. Um, I haven't gotten that far yet with the theming because that would be a big lift, and I'm assuming a lot of people, if they're doing the migration, would also be retheming or using it as a chance to do a retheming. But that's going to be one of the more tricky ones. And I do have the example module somewhere, not open. Let me. So one thing I've been wanting to do is use the developer examples module as a like source of truth of what to build against. And let's see. Okay, so this does have a TPL file, which is pretty straightforward. So the idea would be to try to test this. And see if we can get this to pass in. I know I do have it basically working for theme functions. Now, very basic, mind you. It's the theme. I actually don't know what happens when hook theme runs into a definition that's a theme function. But for right now, it literally just does. It calls the theme hook. Theming will definitely have to come along. The idea is that I don't know what custom code is a major blocker for Drupal 7 to Drupal now 10, 11 is. So I'm trying to just start eating away at some of the basic ones. And I figured the routing system and forms would be huge. And that's the main target right now. Same with links. So that way, maybe you just have to rewrite some of your logic inside your form, not the entire form itself. Let me wait. Did this pass? I'm gonna rerun the test. All right, so this passed. Now I need to make sure it seems like as good of an idea as I made it out to be. Let's group by directory. So menu link manager now just provides the new discovery method. Set is not nullable. Yeah. I'm hoping this helps people really. I'm hoping in my blog post, I said it may not cover everything, but if you have to rewrite 98% of your code to get from Drupal 7 to Drupal 10, and this reduces it to like 40% of your code, like that's a lot. Or not having to convert your hook menu to be like routing.yaml, then controllers. It's not hard work, it's just a lot of work. It's busy work. And I'm hoping that this reduces the amount of busy work that has to be done. But again, the APIs we're replacing are quite expansive. So it'd be nice. It's going to take a lot, but I think we can cover a lot of it. Because I was on a few Drupal 7 sites. One was a SaaS offering for web hosting, and another was just a lot of Drupal commerce builds. Like those things had complex business logic code. It would scare me to have to rewrite all that business logic and hope it worked. Yeah, buys you time to work on the upgrade because I'm sure you have this problem where you need to deliver new features while fixing bugs, and then you have to try to upgrade to a new platform. And trying to do three things at once is impossible. But if this could give you a way to say, all right, we're going to take 1 month to do a cut and paste of our modules to Drupal 10. We're going to get on Drupal 10 and continue to work on features, bugs, and technical debt as we copy old code over or like migrate the code over. I'm hoping it makes some kind of balance there for teams. All right, so this just reduces the discovery. I don't want to open annotations. So this gives us the deriver, which is deciding not to, probably because it's not reading my provider correctly. All right, so this gets it all abstracted into a deriver. This gives us our baseline for a definition to support a deriver from YAML hooks. And then our provider just is there. All right, so I'm gonna make a new branch. Let's do new branch. Call it. Actually, you know what? Real quick. User hook permissions. Enter get permissions. Oh, yeah, let's go. into permission handler. This build permissions YAML, this get YAML discovery all. So in this case, it does not support a deriver. And for all I know, this doesn't cache it at all. So I actually had no idea how the fact that like the permissions handler reads from the disk a lot and doesn't, as far as I know, cache the information. So I'm actually not going to touch this because then we would have to again extend the class and yada yada yada. So I'll just stick here and let's just move this to new branch, menu, plugin, deriver. And hopefully this was a good move for the future for other things. Oh yeah, I will need this for like local task and actions. So yeah, it's a good idea. So git add source. The test still passed, but let me, before I push it up, let me do PHP vendor bin, PHP CBF, PHP CS. I'm sure PHP stand is going to find something. So let me just touch those up or regenerate the baseline. Yeah, I'm hoping that this just alleviates some pain for people. Parameter 1 expects object given, parameter plugin definition, blah, blah, blah. Oh, menu link manager. Well, let's see. That's a ignored pattern. Yeah, ignored pattern. Parameter 1. We'll just regenerate the baseline. I'm not worrying about fixing all the PHP stand stuff at first. I just want to get this working. Status git commit. Support deriver for derivatives for YAML plugins. Origin, menu, plugin, deriver. Okay. Let's create the PR, and then I'm gonna move on to the next item, which I didn't have much of a plan on, but there could be something to do. So I have another. I did open one issue. There used to be a global variable called language content that was used, and that needs to be mapped to the current default language. So I think this would be a good thing to stub in next. I already do something like that for the global user. So this runs before Drupal authenticates the current user to at least set a anonymous session for the global variable. And then this listens to the authentication event to set the global user to that account. And this wraps the account and does some like backwards compatibility stuff, such as like if you call get names, stop opening, stop, close that. So like if you call roles, they call it like just a roles property. It calls this get roles name. That's some backwards compatibility for Drupal 7. So I think we can do the same for the current language. Let's look at Drupal. Let's see how Drupal core does it now. Drupal core, language, context provider, language manager. So I feel like it's going to be inside language manager, get defined types, get current language. Let's see where this is used. Base method, everywhere. For asset, event subscriber, active link, finish. No. Language, context provider, get current language. Oh boy. So, language, get default line code, language request. Here we go. So language request subscriber. When does this run? On kernel request. Oh, kernel request. So on kernel on the request, it calls on kernel request. What does this do too? All right, what's the sub request finished? Resets sets the language overrides. If his main request sets the overrides. So this negotiator, this language manager, this translation. What? Okay. Line code. This language manager get current language. So language content. So let's see. I think what's going to be needed is, let's get current language. Configurable one. This one, negotiate it. So I think we need to set this as a let's go ahead. I think I have ideas. So let's just create language and let's call it, what is this called? Language content. So we need to create a, let's call it global language content. Declare namespace is retrofit Drupal language. Find a class global. And it's going to need the language manager. So let's do private read only language manager interface manager. That is multilingual, so it's gonna pass language, and I'm pretty sure that's just the lang code. So we need to do a get method, and we'll do return match name. Default is null. Okay, CodePilot, you're not helping now. But if somebody calls language, what we need to do is this return the current language ID. I think that would be the fix. And no, we're not going to add the pairing items. I don't think that works. All right, so we've got our global override. Now we need to make a subscriber, but it should run after this translation. This sets the default lane code for translation. Let's get current language. Again, I'm just going to find the usages. In any event subscriber, so Drupal core language AI, language manager, like menu. So I guess it gets resolved the first time it's called, or it gets set by event subscriber. Yeah, so something calls get current language, then it gets resolved. And there we go. So let's run it after this. So let's make what did I name that subscriber before? Global user setter. So I'm going to call this global language content setter.php. So we do declare, and then we'll say namespace retrofit Drupal language implements event subscriber interface. Return. Kernel events. Request. Set. Global. Which content. Oh, this needs to be an array. And it needs to run after 255, and that's a priority. So actually, we want this to run. I'm going to put 155. So I'm not sure what's a good time to actually run it at. Because if it goes too late, it might not register at all. That's not. That's at 255. Let's create the method. Get request event. This needs to have the struct. This should have the language manager injected also, so they can pass it to the global, since that's not going to be a service. Just copy along. So we can say if not is set globals language content. There. Thank you, Copilot. All right. So now I need to write a test. Which, if I do unit test, I don't know if that will break because it doesn't run in isolation. Yeah, I can't think of a good way to test this actually. I can. Let's do integration. Let's call this new directory. This is called language. PHP. No, not PHP. I meant for a directory. Oops. New directory, language. Let's call it the global language test.php. Copy one of these namespaces. Does not match. 1 second. I need to see. What did I put the dev Drupal test integration? This does match. Oh, I don't know. Whatever. Sorry. Got distracted by that. Declare. This will be language. That's global extends integration test case. Hey, that kind of works, but it's not actually going to work. Let's do use request traits. So I have a helper library that I use for some enhancing PHP unit tests. And this lets you do requests inside of tests more easily. So let's do that. So this do request. I'll say request create self assert set. I don't know. There we go. Thank you, Copilot. So this is gonna fail because I did not register my event subscriber yet. So let's go do that in our provider. So anybody who doesn't know or didn't see like the earlier video in my blog post, how this works is Drupal allows registering service providers via the conf global. It's not really documented. That's how tests register themselves. That's how the I think the installer hooks in too. So it just adds a service provider and allows us to register our own goodies into the system. So I'm going to add it here and call it global language content setter. imported an unused class, but it needs an argument. Argument language manager. All right, so now if I run the test, it should work. All right, and then we can say self assert equals language. Oh, that's not how you type it. So I think that should work. Nope, fails. En. Okay, so it is actually. Oh, because undefined would be in the entity. In this case, it defaults to English. So I consider that passing. I forgot to check out my main branch for this. Let's check that back out. Smart checkout. Let's do a new branch called global language content. Let's review the diff. All right. So we've got our global, the object that represents the previous global object. We're going to use get to dynamic, like the magic method get to get things from the language manager that are needed. That's our bridge, our compatibility layer rather, and we're going to use an event subscriber to register it to run after the language request subscribers, so that way it can be configured and get the right language. And then we provide it and we got a test. I'm going to go do my linting fixes. Let's regenerate the baseline. One thing that I'm trying to figure out is a good way to provide support for this thing, because it's not through work. It's just something that I created. So there's the issue queue, and then there's discussions through here. And I think that's the best I can do for now. I thought about maybe trying to hook something up through GitHub sponsors, like a private Discord where there could be like more one-on-one help. I'm not sure. But that's one idea I had also. But I'm hoping that people will be able to take this and start writing and contributing things to make their code work. We'll have to see the level of effort that entails. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it through PHP Storm. Support global variable, language content variable. Let's commit push. Now this is analyzing again. Come on. I think this is one reason I've stopped. I'm going to turn off these, so I don't really follow it as much. Yeah. Commit anyway and push. And then I end up using the command. This is why I don't really use PHP Storm for in there, because I analyze things before I push usually. And then I still go to the command line to create my PRs. So let's click edit, fixes. So this will fix number 2. Let's go check on that other pull request that I made. So this was green. I'm gonna go ahead and merge it. Which means the other branch is gonna need to be updated. Oh, boo. So git checkout main, pull, checkout. Let's see if I can get PHP Storm to do a good merge. Merge. Let's see if it'll auto fix anything. Sweet, it did. That's also one reason I bounce around. Like PHP Storm, its UI for Git is amazing, and also its merge tool is great. All right, so I push that, and I'm going to turn on the auto merge setting. And here, allow auto merge. Enable auto merge. Is that pinwheeling? Okay. All right, that took care of some of the things I was first looking at. Now it's, I guess, time to look at some more examples. Could just dive into the whole template and just see where this takes us. I mean, I may as well. Let's see. Render element template. All right. Let's give it a try. Theming markup simple page. That's just there. I want to see where and how. Theme function, theming sample list. All right. Let's just copy it over. Go to main. Maybe this merged already. Right, it did merge. Because I honestly feel like there's more form work to be done, and there's all these things in here. But let's just go tackle. Let's just see what happens when we start working with theming examples. So in tests and data, this is where I have all the samples that I'm working with. No, didn't have too much, but I have it in there just in case. Let's see if I can just. No, it's not going to drag over. Let's reveal it in Finder, because I know that will work. It should work. There we go. All right. Here goes nothing. So let's go to our tests and integration. I'm going to create a new one called theme. Let's just rename it template, actually, because theme could be for anything to bridge template stuff. Let's do a, oh boy. Let's just see where this starts. So because this doesn't have a template, it is a theme function. New file, theming, let's just call it theming example test. We'll say, what do I call it here? Hook menu test. Let's call it hook theme test, and we'll see how far we can get with things breaking. I guess because that's the biggest part. Where are we and how far can we go? Integration test. This is, yeah, it's integration template. Find a class, hook theme test, extends integration test case, which we need to use request trait, because we're going to make requests to those routes that are defined, and get test modules. So this has ability to hook in custom modules that live outside of Drupal. So this test case adds the container names, or hacks the container.modules to register the modules, even though they're not inside Drupal, and does a little bit of work with the test module handler. So we're going to return theming example. And let's test. What's the first route? Page callback. Let's do theming example page. I guess we'll do public. We'll do examples, theming example. Say do request create, and response equals. Actually, hold on 1 second. I know what I want to do. Instead of this part, I gotta find it really quick. Or it's 1 second. Test kernel trait. Use test kernel trait. Register. So by default, Drupal catches all exceptions, and in my little helpers, it registers a decorated class that does not catch exceptions. So I'm fully expecting this to be a 500 error called the undefined function L. All right, well, that's a new one, finally. So L is a wrapper for links. So let's go. Now we got to fill this in. So functions, I believe that's going to be in common. I think. Let's go to common. Let's find it. So a lot of times I come in here, I find the function, and then I copy the code, and all these are going to need more work layered into them, but I'm just going to get the baseline copied over. So, such as adding types to it, so that way it's strictly typed, so as you start working with it, you can find bugs in your D7 code along the way. If variable theme link, I'm just going to copy this over, which of course is going to return more things that have to be added. So I like to just copy over the baselines. Function plain, because we can enhance them as we go. That's in Bootstrap. Let's add that, bootstrap.php. And I try to keep them in the same naming for the most part. Bootstrap. That's going to copy over the numbers. But we can. All right, so check plain is copied over, or bridged. Now we need Drupal attributes. So function Drupal attributes inside common. Go. We'll add this under here. All right, so let's rerun the test. And we'll see where the next crash is. Undefined key attributes. Options attributes. Well, there I go for just copying bare minimum. Function L. Let's merge in the defaults. Global language URL. Well, that's a new global also. So I'm going to open an issue for that. I thought there used to be a way to, oh, because I'm not in issues. Let's do support global variable. Let's create that. Now let's rerun the test. Template, here we go. HTML.twig is not defined. All right. So theming example, this is going to be the hard part, is it's going to want these templates for theme functions. And I'm not sure the best way to handle that. So test, I want to see renderer, function, load template file. I'm going to drop a breakpoint here. And we're going to do a debug. Now my thought is we can have a twig template with a twig extension that can invoke theme hooks. And if we invoke that way, we can go here. So template, what defines the template file? So template file. Who decides this? Info template.extension. If it's set path. So info path. So one problem is going to be possibly the paths to everything here are relative to Drupal's location, which are different when developing this versus when you have it in your Drupal site. But did I do anything else in here which... No, doesn't look like it. In directory, retrofit, that's where I just specified the current namespace. And that did work. Okay. So info template. So now this means that it's tied into the registry for when hook theme was processed. All right, so let's hit stop and go to this module. So it didn't crash when it processed this, which is good. Let's debug it and see where we're going to have to interject for things that don't have a template file specified. I think handling this might be harder than TPL files, maybe, possibly. And I actually don't know if you can specify the theme engine. Oh, hold on. Let's see that. Yeah, let's check this out. So if type, what's type? Type module, theme path. What controls the theme engine that is used? Because if we could add a theme hook engine for the, we could override, we could decorate the directory, the registry. All right. Merge it into cache. So result type hook. So hook info, render element is info, theme path includes file. If the template's not set, it copies it over. Yep. Assumes the slash templates, preprocess functions. For each prefix. How many prefixes are there? Oh, okay. The function exists. How can we hit stop? There's got to be a way to override the theme engine used per, but maybe there's not. Type base. I'm going to go ahead and click play on this test again to get the error back. So theme manager, render function. So theme engine, the active theme get engine. Dang. Okay. So yeah, it's based off the theme. So to support PHP template, we might not be able to because it's based off of what the theme engine is supported. So if we step in, this engine is going to be null. All right. So what? So theme engine is null, which leaves the render function at twig render template. Okay. Info type module render function. Oh, come on. So we can't alter it with, it has to be, it's determined by the theme. All right, so template file. Comes there. So what we need to see if we can do, okay, so we have to decorate the registry, basically. Process extension. So this is processed and it's merged into the cache. Where does this get handled? Where is this used? It's not showing up. Find usage. And build. So in the build, let's process extension. And that builds on the cache. So first step is we got to decorate the theme registry. So that's core theme. So let's make a new directory called theme. A new branch called hook theme support. So theme, call this registry. I'll just call it decorated registry. No, I'm going to call it registry. .php. And get the namespace in, which I'm so used to typing everything with Drupal / module name that I never get this right anymore. Theme, final class, registry, extends, registry, and then I'll alias that class. Trace with alias. So I like to do that, like just to call things like core registry and keep the same name. Theme engine process type. Where were we? So we want to extend process extension But where's this post process? Theme name. Wait, is post process literally only for theme? Yes, it is. Okay. So let's get back up here. So we need to say if type. So if type, let's do, so we call the parent. Let's say if type is equal to module. We want to do some work before it gets called in. Or no, process extension, this theme. So that calls the hook. Oh man, how are we going to know if... So here's the one problem. This invokes the hook theme, but I don't think we have a way of knowing if it's a Drupal 7 theme hook or not, because all these defaults will be filled in. Yeah, result. So it calls the hook, and then it fills it in. Then we'll have no idea of knowing if it's a Drupal 7 module or not. Shoot. That's a problem. But what we could do maybe is check to see if the file exists. So let's go ahead and debug. It may not be the best solution, but it'll be a solution. So my idea is that we just do a if not file exists, like if there's a theme hook provided. Where did this stop? The manager, yeah, we don't need. I didn't decorate it yet. 1 second. Let me go decorate the service. So my thought is that we can do like if the file doesn't exist, which means the template probably came from a D7 module, we try to redirect it to our own. Maybe, possibly. So let's go decorate the registry. So container, set definition is not, it's going to be registry, new child definition for, I don't know if that's what the class service is actually called. 1 second. It is theme registry, set, so parent, and it decorates that as well. So now if I run the debugger, we should end up hitting that decorated call. And in the meantime, you file template foo.html.twig, or we'll say theme func.html.twig. Say theme function html.twig. Press play. All right, this got hit. So theme name, theme and example. I lost that default. Let's go to data, theme and example. Theming example. Name path. Oh shoot, and it merges it into the cache. So this isn't even the return. Oh, okay. So this merges. This is necessary merge. The cache and the result. So we're going to have to copy that in here. Actually, no, we'll modify the cache exactly as is. So info equals. We'll modify it by reference. And I'm just going to redo the debugger. Let's just restart it. Oh, you get the breakpoint in place. All right, so that should be the info. And ran too late. Play. All right, info, null. What? Come on. Okay, cache. Not type. I probably, so it's name. No, it's, wait a second. There's no way to type module. Shoot. There's no real way to know what got added in. Result, hook, 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 hook. All of the hooks are from the result, which we don't know about because there's nothing called in this loop. All right. So that means we have to do for each cache as theme hook. Info. And what we can do is say, let's copy this name. So theme right here, template path. So we can say, if not file exists, or first we'll say, if theme function equals theme hook. Say if is function not is function, if function exists, theme function null, or rather, so if that function exists, we'll change this to be cache theme hook template. Oh, let's fix that typo. That's still not fixing it. So the template will be theme function and cache theme hook path. Stop, Copilot. You're not helping here. Let's see, so templates. All right. So if the theme function exists, we're going to look into here. Do a dump. And I'm just going to, let's re-debug it and just see what spits out. So the idea would be that we could add a, it kind of makes me nervous. All right. Oh, here we go. So this will make me a bit nervous to add because it essentially would enable you to execute any arbitrary PHP function inside a twig template. Right. Source theme templates theme. It's not. Sorry. Um, let's step through this because it's not loading, and it's probably because why not? Let's go ahead and wrap this in a real path just to see. Sure, we'll no. Gonna go for that and run it with debug to see where we get because it's there. But Drupal does do some hardening to prevent loader things from being loaded outside of like their scope. So if we step in, normalize name, find template, extension. So name, all right, that's in there. Find template. Namespace is main. Just validate name. If not, is set this paths. Namespace main. So that could be the problem. Is the paths haven't been registered. This paths as path. And now here we go. Short name. So it does, it scopes it into the path namespaces. I'd have to see what sets this up. So let's go into the debugger. So we'd have to hijack how the file system loader is working to be able to load templates from within this package. So paths, file system loader, construct, paths. What calls this? Arguments, just one. But then something else has to set the path. So I'm going to restart this because something else expands the paths to include the modules. So let's see. So yeah, it's the constructor. What calls this? That's that didn't do it. So what? How did it have all those different namespaces registered? Chain loader, loader exists. All right, I'm gonna get back to here. And see if we can somehow hack into this to support loading a template from out of the root scope. I know I looked at this before because I tried to allow editing twig templates through a UI for like email template customizations and storing those in the private file path. Yeah, so there's the namespace. Like, where? How else does it register these namespaces. So if I step in, this cache, let's find template. So we're in template file system. Oh, add path. Here we go. So I was looking at two different things. Namespaces. Here we go. All right. So I was looking at the wrong loader for this breakpoint. So what is this? This is Twig loader. That's inside Twig. This is the Drupal one. Okay. So that's a good place to check. So namespaces is an empty array. That adds all the namespaces per module here. So what we could do is hmm, let's see. We could add a call which registers our own path. That then invalidates the cache, but that should be okay. So let's turn this off. Let's those templates. Let's see. Let's do a new file. We'll call this template. So this is in template loader. Say let's call it decorated loader. Or actually, maybe we don't. So I want to decorate it and basically add a call after construction that calls add path with this current path, but I don't know how to dynamically get. Oh, I do. All right, so let's try this out. This will be pretty hacky, but let's do container register. So the class will be service will be itself. Oh, but we want to do a child definition to get the same. So actually, that's I'm going to copy this definition. Say file system loader class. Get back to this name. So this is a bit of hackiness inside the service container. So my thought is that we can have it decorate itself and then do a set add method call. And method call. Templates. So this is going to have it decorate itself and then call add path for templates after it's constructed. We'll call it the namespace retrofit. So let's see if it works. File system loader. Let's just put a breakpoint on add path and debug it and see what happens. So namespace, SQLite, theme and example, retrofit. So there we go. So theme function. If we go step into the loader, so name, loader exists, find template, skip over that breakpoint, extension, find template. So namespace is main. Validate the short name. So for each namespace as path, if is absolute path, no. Unable, wait, what? So for each namespace, oh, short name, hold on. Let's get back here. All right, so in the name, we need to get the namespace appended to it. Oh, shoot. How did I just check the path in the file browser? So, in PHP Storm, when you use the directory constant, you can hold down the command key. Maybe it's Control for Windows and Linux. And if you hold down the command key, it will show you, it will open it inside the file explorer for you. So I use that to always help me figure out my current path correctly. Like if I do command click on directory, that shows you the definition. But so here, now I know it brought me to the right file. This whole namespace thing actually simplifies the heck out of a lot of stuff. So blah, 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 skip, step into, parse name. All right, stop. So namespace is like you do at and then some word. So in this case, now that we're defining the retrofit namespace, we can remove this and say the path is at retrofit. I'm fairly sure. So now if I debug this, oh, that makes me feel a lot better. I forgot about twig namespaces. So this should hopefully make it be a little bit more resilient. So yeah, there's our template file at retrofit / theme function. If I press play, let's step into loader, namespace, retrofit, theme function. No, didn't want to hit play. Oh, well, we didn't crash, so hey. That's good. That was expecting. So let's get back to the debug. And actually, I'm going to hit stop really quick because I want our test to do something more. Let's just do a var export this content. Let's run it, and I'm going to see what shows up. So that's going to export the content from the response. Test printed out, message fallback. Hidden. That's all it printed out. This do request. That should have set this set raw content. Should have really had more to it. So I'm gonna put a debugger there also, because I want to make sure we're not breaking a bunch of theming too. Oh, I know why. Same thing shows up in the routing. I need to have the system menu with the system module installed to do rendering. Here we go. All right, let's actually just do play again. So without the system module, it doesn't render everything correctly. There we go. So there's our output, banner, theming example page, but there's nothing in it because it says a theme wrapper. So let's do container, get parameter, twig config, debug, true. think this is the proper setup. 1 second, because I don't remember. Core assets, scaffold, files, development services. That doesn't tell us. Default services. Set twig.config. Debug true. So we can say container set. Let's rerun it. Okay, there we go. Now we got twig debugging on. Page title. Here we go. End output from retrofit theme function. But I put in this dump, but this doesn't seem to be doing anything. So I'm just gonna throw a breakpoint here and see why. So my hope is that in this function, we can then just call a twig filter, which will run the function for us. Yeah, I just want to go to this. Is file, boom, cache. Awesome. Remove this breakpoint. So dump context. Let's look at the context. Theme hook original. So we've got all these items in here. We got the theme wrapper, which is itself. Content attributes, everything. Why didn't this run? Why didn't I see it? All right. Well, let's take the name, copy name. There's no variables. I can't remember how this works. Yeah. I don't need that. Response, and I don't need that breakpoint either because now things are dumping properly. So we have the output here. So we can say the world and then do dump theme hook original. But I thought that would be in the variables. Begin hook, hello world. It's not though. Oh, it dumps it at the top. Okay. Oh, okay. So if it's right there, that's why I didn't see it. Let's rerun it. Oh, sweet. So here's the dumper. All right. So we got the element. This won't be collapsible. Dump. Where did this live? It's not in dump. Will this show it? No. Ah, come on. Why don't I know how to do this? It dumps the context. Why can't I get it to dump? An alternative, actually, what I should do, I should just be doing that. Shoot. So let's hit play. Theme function. If it prints, okay. So it's printing the element, but it really should be doing more. By more, we need to go look at the theme there. But the fact is, this is now showing up, or it is rendering a theme function in a Twig template inside Retrofit. So let's go back to the test data. Excuse me. Hey, thanks for joining in. All right, so let's go look at this example theming page. Here are the examples. It's got all this wonderful markup. So we have this list. So this page, theme wrappers is still working. So let's go to our test. Integration. Template will say self assert string contains string. Should contain this and this. Get raw content. So that's going to pass. But we need to see what this theme wrapper is doing. The theme here, so it's not actually invoking this hook yet. So element equals output. So what we would want to do is we need to invoke the actual theme hook and replace it. Now what I want to do, I'm going to throw the debugger back on to wherever I was. Play. I turned off any of my breakpoints. So I could write a twig filter which takes the takes variables and then calls this function with the current context, or a pre-process function calls this. But the problem is with the pre-process function, I don't know if I probably could have a generic one that runs across it all. So first, let's stub back this function, which luckily should be easy to do because we have it just moved to a static method in a class. So it's an array of elements, bool sort. We can return element. No, that's there we go. So that logic should be just about the same from D7 to D8, 9, 10. But what I want, what am I thinking here? I don't know where I was going with this. So let me go back to dump. Go in here. So what I'm working on right now is getting support for old school theme functions in Drupal 7 to be rendered in Drupal 10 using Retrofit. And we're just about there. We run the debugger one more time and just see what's in the element. Again, I'm torn between doing a generic pre-process function, which calls it, or as a twig filter. I'm afraid of doing it as a twig filter because then anybody can run arbitrary PHP instead of a template. Now, you'd have to somehow inject a nefarious template. So I'd like to move it to a theme, like a pre-process, I think. variables. This is element, so let's just look at it. So element, this is our render array. It's going to render children. So I could replace the children from here. Where's the theme hook again? Keep closing it. So it wants to do from variables element theme hook original, theme hook suggestions, element. Let's look at something. So that's one way we could do it, is by calling, we could say some kind of function and pass it the variables, like the dump function. So how there's dump, static function dump. Let's go for it. Let's just do that to start. I'm gonna have to end. Usually I'm done in about 2 minutes, but I'm gonna go an extra 15, just because I want to see if we can get this to work. So core template. Let's make the directory template. We'll call it theme function extension .php. Declare the string types, namespace, retrofit, Drupal template, final class, theme extends, abstract extension. I'm gonna just copy this reference. So in here, it's get functions. I'm gonna move this to the side so I can copy it better or reference it better. So get functions. So the function will be called theme function. This theme needs context true. Sure. Well, we're copying all these extra parts as well. Theme function. Actually, what I'll do is call it retrofit. I'm going to prefix it with retrofit, which then means I need to create the function called name to this theme, environment context, let's return all right. Now, how is this registered? So I can register it in my service provider. Then we'll do a debug session to just make sure it's all wired up. So provider. I'm just going to start adding some below. I'll add it right here. So container, register, theme, function extension, class. Add tag to an extension. There we go. Should be all I need. Let's run it with xdebug. And this should, oh, I didn't update this. Let's just hit stop. Stop. Yeah, I did the dump there. So name, retrofit. We'll just see what happens when I do it without passing in anything, the context. It crashed. So because I have to call it like that, probably. But I thought you didn't have to for like the dump command. I thought you could just write dump and it would work. All right, there we go. So environment does not need the environment. So we can remove that, but it does need context. And I don't know what Veridic means, but context. So we'll say theme function equals theme underscore context theme hook original if function exists theme function return. All right, let's see what happens. Let me open up the theme function again, put a breakpoint here, let's run the xdebug and hope for the best. So if this works, we'll be one step closer to supporting PHP template files. Oh, this just broke. Argument context is required for what? Oh, shoot. Rerun this. Um, wait, I didn't do this right. But the idea would be then, like for PHP templates, since the theme engine is controlled by the theme and not by template. Um, so let's try this out. So the idea would be hopefully that. Sorry, lost my train of thought. We can bridge to PHP template by using like a twig function instead of trying to register that theme engine since we can't actually do so. One second, I just want to look at some of these functions. Render var, that requires the arg. None of these take in the context. So I'm just going to run the test instead of waiting for xdebug. The last parameter of theme for function must be an array with a default value. I don't know. All right, well, if that's causing errors, let's just get back to when it worked. Blah. All right, I know when it was set like this, it worked, gave me more information than I needed, but whatever. Is file. Oh, what? Once, why is this erroring now on needing the virtual file system? All right, theme function. So variables, it should actually be context and not via a spread operator. It should be just the values. Dang it, didn't want to hit play. All right, it passed, but this function wraps it in a P. So let's go ahead and edit our test. What should it have? The first paragraph is bolded, which So first paragraph is bolded. That should be this one. So, sorry, I gotta. Okay, that is the first paragraph. Why is count to string? Wait, if not, is set count? Hold on, this doesn't make any. I can't process this while reading it, so let's just xdebug. We don't need that there anymore. Oh, okay, so output, I'm just going to copy it. We'll hit stop. So now in our test, we can verify that it is wrapped properly. And then everything else should be in a P. This is breakpoint at the end of it. Because luckily under the hood, the render system didn't change that much between Drupal 7 and Drupal 8, 9, 10. So output, here we go. So let's just copy that one line. And that will be proof enough that this is working. Which means that the link function is working as well. Sweet. Well, I didn't think this would be possible. Yeah, xdebug is beyond useful. Like, I could have poked and prodded at this, but it allowed me to just look at the internals. I can just pause, you pause the system from running, inspect it, and then keep going. Oh, why did this error? Oh, it's all Oh. Oh, it got escaped. So we need to say markup create. We need to escape the markup from the function. There we go. Well, holy crap. It worked. I don't know. I'm kind of proud of myself, yet I don't know. Yeah, that's something. So I'm gonna review this real quick. So, all right, we got a hook theme test that supports theme functions. We're not into PHP template yet. What I should do is I have one thing that I have to do is some bootstrap, check plain is working. Oh, thank you for subscribing. I very much appreciate it. Cache clear all, common in here somewhere. Theme. This should actually, this needs to get fixed. So this is not the right way to do it, calling theme hook. I actually don't know what's the replacement for it. So actually I'll leave this. I'm just gonna leave all of this alone. Because it's not the render function. It's gonna need its own work. All right. So we got bootstrap, adding check plain in common, bridging the link function, Drupal attributes, element children. Good, good, good. Template. We got this. We got this going on. I'm kind of nervous about it. Actually, I'm not, because it's not running arbitrary functions. It's calling the theme hook original theme. I'm actually not too worried about this after all. So we'll go there. The theme registry, it decorates it. So in here, we'll have to say, we'll add an empty else. Do check if twig template exists or not. If not, then check if a TPL exists. Then add a layer for rendering the template via twig function. I am open source contributing. I don't work at Drupal. Drupal's it's just like actually Drupal's unlike any other open source project. There's no corporate sponsor behind it. Like Symfony has Sensio, Laravel has Laravel. I just do a lot of open source work on and with Drupal around tooling and doing silly things like allowing people to run code written 12 years ago on Drupal that wasn't Symfony based with Drupal that's now based on Symfony. So yeah, I just like to do lots of silly things. All right, so there we go. Yeah, knowledge is a bit of a barrier. I got very lucky that I worked at an agency that needed to build an e-commerce site, and I didn't know anybody, but I was able to find folks in the Drupal community that did help me on. This is back in like the IRC days. So I got very fortunate that I found mentors in the IRC channels. Then I started writing patches, and I found my groove. But I needed that groove, or rather, that groove came because I had projects that required fixes. Jumping in open source is hard if you're just doing it to do it and don't have like some project building against it, I would say. Source. All right, shoot. I gotta go because it's gonna be baseball time. So let me just get this CBF fixed. There's nothing left remaining. So yeah, like that. If it's everything is Symfony, then maybe there's a chance to find some kind of bug. But it's also it's hard. It's like when you find a bug, like what is it? Do you just contribute random packages? It's it's different now, I feel like too. I started 10, 12 years ago. Everything's way different now that I don't even have a good answer on how folks would get started with open source because it's very different. I think GitHub sucks for collaboration. It's not that great. Um, Drupal's different. We had a very different approach and didn't use GitHub or GitLab. It was created before all of that, and anybody could contribute patches. But yeah, it's different trying to work in GitHub. So add support for theme functions. All right, I'm gonna push this up, and then I have to run because my kids have baseball today. But I'll be back next week, either working on PHP Stand Drupal or this. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you get a chance to use Retrofit for your Drupal 7 sites. See ya.